last one was a complete fail. I need to know if you can see this video, please. Are you even on? Okay, I'm finally been picked up. Okay, sorry about that. The link will obviously change, so I will just keep recording today and delete that previous video. Sorry about that, everyone. Unfortunately, technical difficulties do happen. Okay, so let's start chatting about overcoming fear. Fear is a human emotion, and either we can use it to our advantage or we can hide. Jane, good to see you. So we have that human emotion, and either you can use it to your advantage for longer lasting peace, or you can use it and, well, you'll just have longer lasting anxiety, which is not so much fun. So finding ways to control your fear can help you better cope with these feelings and prevent anxiety from taking hold. Sometimes fear stems from threats. Fear comes in from a current situation. It comes in from maybe an anxiety PTSD sense or a past tense. It comes in and then you sit and you struggle. And a natural response to situations is fear. So you can't beat yourself up for feeling fearful about something. It leads to distress and disruption, and when extreme proportion, and you just feel like you can't control that. So what makes you afraid? Comment in the chat and tell me what actually makes you afraid. For me, I have a phobia, and that's moths. I cannot do moths at all. I have an extreme fear towards them, and coping with it is just basically avoiding it. But avoiding a situation in life, that's not such a good thing, is it? Because it'll probably start to come around again and again. So lots of things make us feel afraid. Some things like fires, they can keep you safe. Fearing failure, it can make you do well so that you won't fail, but it can also stop you from doing well if the feeling is so strong that you prevent yourself from doing well. So what you're afraid of and how you act about them are really important, and it can vary per person. We're all different. And like with my moths, I freeze. I don't want to know. I will run away from you. I won't speak to you. I don't want to know you. But with other fears, I cope a bit better because I have my little toolbox that I bring out when I need to deal with a fear. Now, fear is a natural emotion, and it's also a survival mechanism. So when we confront a perceived threat, our bodies react in certain ways. Now, I've actually just did a course about the brain and how it responds to fear. And it's very much the same with animals. So when we have a perceived threat, we go into fight, flight, or freeze. And what actually has to happen is that to get over that fear, you actually have to change your mind manually. If that's how you want to say it, you change your mind manually by telling your brain, well, we don't actually need to be in that situation. We don't need to be in fight, flight, or freeze. And as in animals, they will either run away, they'll hide, or they'll completely freeze up, just like us. So, yeah, we have to turn on our parasympathetic nervous system. And by doing that, we turn onto the part of the brain that says, you're no longer in fear. It's okay to be calm. You're no longer a caveman. You can deal with things. You can do hard things. So the emotional response to fear, on the other hand, is highly personalized because fear involves some of the chemical reactions in our brains that have positive emotions, like happiness and excitement. So sometimes fear is quite fun, especially for those who like do bungee jumping or maybe enjoy scary movies. I enjoy thrillers, which can be quite scary at times. I loved Nancy Drew, and yeah, that
Goosebumps. Goosebumps.
that first series when Luce was around, I'd skrik myself out of my pants. So yeah, but that was fun. That's a good kind of fear. Jane says she tends to find something to stress about in everyday things, then everything dominoes from there. Yeah, that's me too. That comes with anxiety. We tend to over exaggerate what the problem is sometimes. Other times there is a problem and we don't deal with it, so it just spirals because we haven't dealt with it. So why do I feel like this when I'm not in any real danger? Earlier humans needed that past powerful response of fear causes. So they were often in situations of physical danger. Well, as you know, if a tiger comes along and wants to eat a caveman, that caveman has to know what to do to get rid of the tiger or avoid the tiger, or else he's going to be lunch. So despite this, our mind and body still work in the same way. As I said, we have our part of our brain that says to us, you're in fear. And you actually have to do something to break out of that fear spiral and put your brain into the parasympathetic nervous system. Physical feelings of fear can be scary themselves, especially if you are experiencing them and you don't know why, and they seem out of proportion. And instead of alerting you to danger and preparing you to respond to it, your fear or anxiety kicks in for any perceived threat, and it can be imaginary or even minor. So, coping with fear. If you're here tonight or you are watching the replay, you are starting to get some social support, which is nice. It's the first step. Telling somebody that you have a fear, listening to what other people have fears about, and then realizing, well, I'm not so weird after all. And when you feel not so weird after all, then you start to feel, okay, it can be quite a little bit easier to maybe deal with this problem. Practicing mindfulness. Now, I love practicing mindfulness because it brings us back into the present time and space. And on the subject, I actually recorded a few videos today, a few shorts for TikTok, and 2 longer videos already, speaking about grounding techniques, specifically to help you switch over from the part of your brain that gives you that sense of fear over to the side that activates your parasympathetic nervous system, releases the cortisol that's causing all the problem in the first place. You can use stress management techniques such as deep breathing techniques, and I love my breathwork techniques. Like I said, I did a few recordings today, so if you are interested in breathwork, have a look at my TikTok for Pause for Self-Care. There'll be a few videos coming up during March. Okay, and of course, as with any anxiety, take care of your health, eat well, and get exercise. And that's one thing that I really need to do this month. I'm just hoping that this damn heat will leave, because I'm dying in the heat, literally, not coping in the heat. It's not possible to think clearly when you're flooded with anxiety. So the first thing to do is take some time out so you can feel physically calm. It was my phone that farted, sorry, yes. Distract yourself from the worry for about 15 minutes. Try walking around the block or making a cup of coffee. And once again, I actually spoke about this in my very first video that will go live in about a week's time, or within the next week, specifically on dealing with something that has triggered you. So yeah, take time to take time. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to deal with the problem that you have. It just means that you're taking a step back. You're getting a clear mind. And a nice way to do that when looking at a mountain in front of you is to make lists. And you can make two lists. You make one that says, this is what could happen. And it could be the negative thing. And this is what could happen, and this is the positive list. And you look at those two lists, and you be logical, be realistic, and say to yourself, would it be okay if those things in that negative list happened, or that positive list happened? Would I be okay with it? Would I be able to cope with it in a step-by-step manner? And that's how you decide on how you're going to tackle that mountain. I think that is one of the nicest tips I have ever received on just trying to get over that mountain in front of you. Okay, we spoke about breathing, facing your fears. Avoiding your fears only makes them scarier. So let's say we have a physical problem and we make our list and we decide, okay, I can handle that. Even if it's negative, I can handle that. I can cope with that. That is dealing with the problem. Then you just go ahead and deal with it. When it is something that is in your mind with anxiety, and these are the irrational thoughts that come in, you can actually psychologize yourself a little bit. Say to yourself, is that actually possible? Let me be realistic. Is that possible? And if it isn't realistic or logical that that thing can happen, then you can start to say to yourself, okay, I'm actually okay. I'm quite safe. You can say an affirmation if you know that you are in a safe surrounding, especially with PTSD. With Storms and Erin's accidents, she spirals. And we know how animals spiral in situations where there's thunder and lightning, or
Slamming doors.
my favorite thing, fireworks. So fireworks, yeah, And it affects us with PTSD too, just like it affects our animals. And they can't say an affirmation, but we can. And we can create our own little affirmation. So while there's a storm going and there's lots of loud thunder and lightning, if it works for you, say an affirmation. I am safe where I am. The thunder and lightning is on the outside. I will not have any contact with it. And you just reassure your mind about these unrealistic things that are going on up there. And believe me, I have them way too much, way too much. Just like Jane said, all day, every day, I have something to worry about. And it's not fun. I also said imagine the worst, and that's what I said with your list. You make that list, but you do it in two parts. So you have the positive and you have the negative, and you decide if you can actually cope with that. Then look at the evidence, just like I said. Is that thought illogical? Is it just something that's come in and you think, ugh? Now, one of my closest friends, she had the most horrible fear that she would be locked up and put into jail. She is possibly one of the nicest people I know. And she'd like say to herself, how the hell can I be put up in jail? I've done nothing wrong. But she'd have this fear and it would overpower her completely. And that's what comes with anxiety. A big one. I'm not perfect and you're not perfect. So let's not try to be. That anxiety of trying to be perfect, it's just not worth it. Just be who you are. You're perfect, just like that. Flaws and all. Yeah, you'll stuff up. I stuff up. I probably stuffed it up with a live earlier this evening, the first session, that there were technical difficulties. It was probably these technical difficulties. I stuff up too. And you know what? That's okay. We all stuff up. And Tristan says there was something I read up, there was 1 in 2 million or something like that being chance with a chance of being struck with lightning. And that's a very rare chance. So if it is lightning, that's your fear, you have a very rare chance of actually being struck. And funny story, my gran would close all the windows, all the doors, and she would sit in the passage when there was thunder and lightning. But one of her cousins did pass from being struck by lightning. They were actually on the phone. And we all know that's on landlines those days. That was a no-no. A visualization. Visualize a happy place. I have a few visualizations on my channel. I have one of a flower garden and the beach, just to give you a nice place to go to if you need that directed visualization. You can even do a meditation by yourself, and just an easy one. Light a candle, gaze at your flame. Of course, after setting your intention of what you would like to meditate about, just gaze at that flame, let your peripheral vision go out, so you go into that tunnel vision, and just when you're ready, you close your eyes and just mull over the problem gently. Show yourself compassion. Don't beat yourself up because you may be stuffed up. It's not worth beating yourself up. Rather look at a solution, or look at a way that you can handle things differently. That's so important, is that we just look and see, okay, I can handle things differently next time, and maybe that will make me feel a bit better in my growth. And that's what growing is about, doing things differently and improving. talk about it. I am a support group leader, and I find that actually speaking to my support group is one of the best things that I have. My support group runs once a month at 10 o'clock on a Friday, but we have over 160 support groups run by SADAG, and actually 10 new support groups opened this week alone. And we have one of the recent ones I remember was run by Nala, and it's for mamas. So yeah, we have a group for men that just opened up, and if you follow Manned Up Conversations, he actually runs the support group and has had some really positive feedback. So speaking to somebody is so nice, because when you speak to somebody, they'll tend to give you their opinion too, and maybe tell you about what they've been through. And that's fantastic, because maybe how they handled their problem, you could use that idea to your own advantage. And in a support group situation, you tend to also give advice, so they get advice from you. So it's such a supportive and beneficial position to be in a support group. Go back to the basics. Now, when you've had a really rough day, you really just want to have a gin. That's me. I just want to have a drink, lots of ice, especially in this heat, and just chill.
Or a nice cup of creamy iced coffee with a little bit of a nippy in there, with a dollop of ice cream.
Yeah, we all know that coffee is my vice. So, yeah. But it's not a really good thing to treat anxiety. So before we actually reach for that nice little cocktail at the end of the evening, maybe look into running a bath. If you're not a bath girl like me, end up having a shower. And yeah, Jane, coffee is the best. So yeah, go back to the basics. Have a good night's sleep, have a good meal, because when your body is nourished, you feel good, and you feel a bit better at wanting to tackle that problem. And the last thing, once you've tackled the problem and you've committed to going back to it and trying to succeed, reward yourself. Reward yourself with that nice coffee. Reward yourself with something that you've wanted for a long time. Put your money aside and say, yeah, I want those pair of boots. And I know I've been scrolling Facebook, and every time this damn pair of boots comes up, I see it and say, yeah, well, one day I'll reward myself with those boots. And I know Erin has a whole long reward list that she wants.
Yes, I think there's like 300 pictures in my gallery.
Yes, save your rewards to your gallery. And actually that's a really good thing, because if you think about it, it's positive for your mind. These are the things I'm going to reward myself with. Let me get through this problem, and I'll reward myself with something nice. So yeah, that is my workshop on facing fear. But if you do want the notes, I can send them to you. I have them all in a nice document. So yeah, if you watched my last live, there were also notes on believing in yourself with the last workshop. I do hope you enjoy these, and of course, if there's subjects that you'd like me to cover at the end of March, because that is when my next workshop will be, let me know what you'd like to know about, and perhaps I'll cover it over the next month. I like the idea right now that I chose fear, and that basically in March I'll be doing like mindfulness exercises, breathing exercises, and just helping you through anxiety by bringing you back to the present moment. So yeah, thank you so much to everyone who joined and who watches the replay. I please do leave a comment in the main comment feed as well, just to let me know what you thought of the workshop. If this video does go to private, please just give me 1 minute after the video for it to go back to a public video, and then you can comment. So thanks so much, and oh, Lee, you're late. Watch the replay. Okay, everyone. See you in the next live. Bye.